Welcome to the Stay Ready Real Estate Podcast, where we stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I'm your host, Emeka, and in each episode, I'll be breaking down real estate topics to help you find and lock in your first deal. This podcast is all about building wealth through real estate, and the best part, you don't need a lot of money to get started. So let's jump right into it. What is going on? It is your boy, Emeka here, and today, what we're going to talk about is syndications. So if you don't know what a syndication is, I'm going to just make it real simple, because this is how I'm able to, just explain it to people. And it's basically what it is when we're talking about how the transaction works. So what a syndication is basically GPs and LPs. GP as a general partner. Think of a GP as a person or people who make the deal work. They make the deal happen. They make other people make money, and they're the people who are supposed to be making a good chunk of money in the deal at the exit, right? So they are the active investors who are working on the property, making sure that it's rented, making sure it looks good, handling the capex, handling the contractors, handling the property managers, so that it is a good asset. What an LP is a limited partner. GP, general partner, LP, limited partner. What a limited partner is a completely passive investor, right? Basically, the GPs go out to all the LPs and they say, hey, I have this deal. I think it's gonna make money. The rents are low, we're gonna make them high. The property looks bad, we're gonna make it look pretty, get better tenants in, do this. And then by the time we sell it, you're going to make X amount of money. But for this deal to happen, we're going to need this amount of money, and each person needs to put in 25 grand each, and you'll get a pref return, right? I'm not going to get into the details of like pref, waterfall. That's not necessary for this podcast. Maybe I can do a different podcast about it. But basically what it is a bunch of people pulling money together to buy a deal. And the money goes toward the down payment, cash to close, and reserves, right? And then also acquisition fees. Usually there's let's say call it 1 to 5% acquisition fee, and all that acquisition fee is for the GPs to get paid back for any expenses that they incurred getting the deal. Could be legal, inspections, or it can even be the profit bringing the deal together. So make sure you always ask what the acquisition fee is so you understand. So I got into real estate multifamily because of syndications. I joined a mastermind and heard about syndications, learned about it. One day it just clicked. And basically what's good about it is a long-term hold. Typically it's 5 to 7 years. Hopefully it's on a downturn. And then, you get a good chunk of equity in a deal, right? It could be a limited partners have a 70%. General partners have 30%. It could be 60, it could be 40. But the thing is, you can have 20 limited partners, but 5 GPs. So even though it might be a skewed difference when it comes to the percentage, the money that the general partners make each are typically more if you do the deal right than the LPs when it comes to equity, like that lump sum check. But the limited partners have the chance to actually make monthly or semi-annually or quarterly income. So I just talked 3 minutes about a syndication. But why am I talking about it, right? It's because Brandon Turner, right? There's been all this fuss, there's been all this commotion about Brandon Turner losing 15 million of his investor money. Money they put in, didn't get anything back, lost 15 million. And the thing about limited partners and syndications overall is these aren't like necessarily rich people. These are average Joes like me, have a W-2 job. You might have a little bit of extra cash, and you want to invest in something that is not the stock market. You want to invest in something else, investing in real estate and asset, take advantage of taxes, etc., 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 right? So don't think of syndications where it's a bunch of millionaires who invest in. Yes, that might be the case, for a limited partner who trusts you, but these are regular people like you and me investing in these deals, and he lost 15 million of them, right? And you can look at his post on Instagram. I think it's probably on Facebook too. I'm sure he's going to go on a podcast spree talking about this, because at least he was transparent from what I can see. I didn't go into the details, but I did look at the post, and it was a long post. He talked about how it happened. It's very informational. But with that being said, is if you want to invest in real estate passively, you can still lose, right? And then I am 29. My podcast is catered towards people who, people, let's say between their late teens to maybe early to mid 30s, right? The people who are just getting into it, trying to figure out a way. Um, it's I would argue that it's not really meant for those kind of people, right? Because you're not going to get your money for 5 to 7 years, and also depends on your goal. It's going to be passive or not. But even those limited partners who are passive, they're probably still looking at the deal on a day-to-day basis, waiting for updates, understanding the updates, asking a million questions to figure out how they're going to get their money back, because there's going to be a capital call. There might be a capital call. A capital call is basically when your poop hits the fan and the general partners ran out of their own money and they need to get everyone else's money to either do a refinance, show enough cash, or to fix something that they didn't prepare for, maybe a complete new roof that they didn't budget for. There's a bunch of different things, but when it comes to syndications, you have to understand that you have to make sure you are the right fit for it, right? I love syndications. I'll still do syndications. I'm a GP in about 3 different syndications, and the market's tough, right? It takes a lot of work. I don't regret anything. I still love everything about it. But you have to understand that if you're in this to make money immediately, just cut it. Cut it. There's no way to make money quickly, immediately in real estate unless you're doing flips. And even with flips, it can be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. And if you do a quick flip, fix everything within 3 months. Once someone buys, there's still another 30 days, another 45 days just to be an inspection. There's going to be so much stuff that goes into it. So understand that syndications are risky. Syndications are risky. Investing in real estate, I've said before, the risk is minimal when you have the asset. That is mainly catered towards single family homes and maybe 2 to 4 units, right? Maybe smaller. But whenever you get into these bigger commercial loans, right, because it's going to be a DSCR loan, basically meaning that they're going to give you a loan based off the cash flow that you have, it gets tremendously more risky at that point, right? Stocks aren't necessarily safe either, right? I'm a big believer in real estate. I don't make millions at all, right? I still work at a W-2, but understand what you can handle, the risks you can take, and whenever you're in the deal with a partners, ask as many questions as you need to feel comfortable of what you're putting your money into. Period. 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 Because the way I do deals is I make sure I'm as transparent as possible, and I encourage more and more and more questions. The more questions that someone is going to ask me, if I don't have an answer for it, I learn, right? Now I need to go get the answer, right? Always end up giving an answer, the right answer, and the truthful answer. Don't gaslight anyone. Be honest, because at the end of the day, it's going to be your money, your reputation. But going back to syndications is typically be 5 to 7 years. You're usually going to make money at the very beginning if you have an acquisition fee. But if you don't have money, that acquisition fee, you need to put back all of that money in that deal. Because you have to prove to your investors that you have some skin in the game. Skin in the game is so important. And skin in the game shows that you believe in your own deal. If you don't believe in your own deal, then what are you doing for? Right? Especially if you are new to the space. If you're going to be a GP and you're going to be active, you need to prove that, okay, if you're not having your own money in a deal, what exactly are you going to be doing, especially as a team, right? It's going to be hard to build trust if you don't have your own money in a deal. It doesn't matter if it's, minuscule to the other partners that you have. Your value is going to be huge. But when it comes to syndications, you have to understand syndications is typically better for those who are who already have money, who can invest passively. And if you are active doing syndications, it can be good, but you're not going to be making money quickly unless they're going to be big deals and you have great amount of capital to pull from LPs, right? I know some people out in St. Petersburg who doing it full time, maybe it'd be a $13 million deal, but if there's only 2 GPs and they get 3% of that as an acquisition fee, that's enough for a year's worth of work, right? And as long as they can do 1 deal a year like that, or 1 or 2 deals that are half that price and be okay, to a year-to-year basis. So you're never going to truly make money in the syndication unless it is a superb deal where you can make money immediately or semi-annually or quarterly. But I don't know about you, but at my age, I don't have the capabilities to wait that long to get my money unless I'm a GP. I can't put that money in, right? I'm trying to be as transparent with you as possible. Understand what you're getting into when you're doing a syndication, and understand with the syndication, there's going to be so much risk because there's less regulations. Real estate is not as risky as you think when it comes to 1, 2, 3, and 4 unit properties, because you have that asset. When things hit the fan, you can have that equity. Equity doesn't mean much, but at least you might be able to make something shake because you have that equity with a refinance, rent, and you have some breathing room as long as you can, cover the bills. But with the syndication, you have to cover the bills with the income that's coming in. But if you're a limited partner, you can lose it all. And if you're early 30s, unless you're making millions, I would argue that it's not really worth it for you. So understand where you're getting into in syndications, and I highly advise listening to the Brandon Turner story. He had a podcast with Pace Mobile recently, and him explaining how it happened. And that can happen to you. And understand that this is $15 million worth of money that was lost for his investors. These are ginormous deals. These are people, when it comes to these and the people, the GPs, these are GPs who have the means to raise $15 million. So understand that, yes, there is risk with real estate. It's safer. It can be safer, a lot safer with 1 to 4 units. But understand what you're getting into, who you're getting into it with, and you must understand the market, because he got it at a time when the rates were low. The deal did look good based off what he shared, but it was an adjustable rate. And these were the lowest rates we've seen in a very long time. I would say that is a red flag to know that it can get worse, it can go up, it can go downhill very quickly. Warren Buffett famously said, "Be fearful when those are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful." Till next time. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss when a new one drops. And if you're loving this content, come join me over on YouTube. My link is down below in the comments. I take you behind the scenes of my real life as a real estate investor. You get to see inside my flips, my rentals. You get to see the full journey of me growing from basically 33 units to 100 units, which is the goal I'm shooting for. No highlight reels, no sugarcoating, just a real day. See you next week.